Welcome to the feature interview on EHC-TV and Emory and Henry Reports. I'm Noah Hayden. Today, we have Ryan Ferrell. Ryan is a freshman at Emory and Henry College, and he's also a firefighter. Ryan, thank you for coming on the show.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me.
What's it like to be a firefighter? Are you a volunteer? Are you a paid employee? How does it work for you?
Well, I joined the volunteer fire department. It's something I've always wanted to do. It's something I want to do after I graduate, and I joined it when I was 16. That's the age that's usually join the fire department, and you go from there, and there's certain certifications that you have to get to do certain things. You have to get your EMT, your Firefighter 1, your Firefighter 2, and those are just different certifications which let you do more and more, and eventually, depends on what department you go to, the more certifications you get, the more time on you'll get, and eventually get on a paid staff at the volunteer station. You get paid. So,
talk about some of the certifications. You mentioned Fireman 1, Fireman 2. Are you allowed to be on the truck and do things if you're not necessarily certified?
Well, when you come on when you're 16, that's when most people join when they volunteer. You can't do anything. You can ride on the truck. They give you this gear, and they give you a hideous orange helmet so everybody knows that you're underage, and you basically just pull hose off the truck. Now, when you turn 18, they're going to get you more involved in fighting fire, and you'll get the opportunity to take Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2 classes, which are just different level classes that cover different scenarios that you might come across when you're in a fire. So,
let's talk about fires. Firemen fight fires. Take me through an experience where you got called to a fire and had to respond.
Let me think. One night it was raining pretty bad, and lightning was pretty bad around our area. Lightning actually struck a house. And the fire didn't catch the full house on fire. It was running in between the walls, in between the drywall and the outside. And so we go inside, and they turned the gas off. They turned the electricity off. They were working on turning the electricity off. And there's some gas trapped in the line, and electricity tripped it and kind of had not a huge catastrophic explosion, but an explosion that was scary enough to kind of realize that, you know, this is no joke.
What's that like to be in the fire and you've got all the suits on and the heavy equipment? What does it feel like to be in the heat of the situation?
You're not really thinking about anything but putting the water on the red stuff. So, I mean, your one goal is to get in there as fast as possible, put it out, cause the least amount of damage, and get out as fast as you can so nobody gets hurt.
What's it like being in the fire station? Do you have to be there for a whole weekend, nights at a time? What's it like to stay there?
Well, volunteer station, I mean, it's volunteer. You come on your own time. Once you start to get certifications, you'll start to get on paid staff. I had the opportunity to get my Firefighter 1, working on my Firefighter 2, and I'll work nights, and we break it up in 12-hour shifts, 6 to 6. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, one of the best things about being on the fire department is the brotherhood that you gain. I mean, I've met some lifelong friends that I know I have for a long time. They've taught me everything that I know, and there's still a lot more to learn. But I mean, it's a lot of fun. There's laughing, joking around. It's a good time. But when your pager goes off, it gets serious. So,
what's the hardest part about being a firefighter?
The hardest part would be, just putting your life on the line for others. You tend not to think about that when you go to a call, but you walk out of some calls and you realize that you could have been seriously injured, and it doesn't really hit you while you're on your way to the call or while you're in the call because you're so focused on the job that you're doing. But I mean, it's a reality check when you step back and see a house that's fully torn down, and you're like, well, I was inside that, and that could easily collapse. So.
Is that an adrenaline rush that once you get in the situation, instinct just takes over?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's. I mean, I play football, and I get an adrenaline rush there, but there's nothing that compares to that at all. So.
What's the worst call you've ever been on? What's the hardest situation you've ever had to respond to?
I mean, any fire that you go on is really bad to see the family, because not only, it catches certain rooms on fire, but precaution after you put the fire out, you have to do extra or overhaul, which is you go around to these other rooms, and you don't know if the fire's gone in between the walls. So you end up, let's say one room's caught on fire, you end up tearing every room that surrounds that room that was on fire just to make sure the fire's gone. And I mean, those are tough. And on the fire department, we don't only deal with fires, we also deal with medicals and suicide calls. Those are always tough. I mean, it kind of makes you wonder what was going through the person's head and stuff like that. And it's always tough to see a family lose somebody to that. So
you mentioned that you deal with things other than a fire. If someone is on the highway and they get in an accident and they call 911, are the firemen first to respond?
Yeah, every volunteer station is what you call first responders. they're going to be the first ones out of the call. And we also specialize in extrication, which is just pulling people out of their cars. You know, we have the Jaws of Life, the Hertz tool, all these different tools that can help us get the patient out of the car as fast as possible. So not only do we fight fires, we'll tear people out of cars, and we're also, you know, ready to give first aid. So,
was there a moment that you had, an epiphany, where you're just like, wow, I'm really happy that I'm doing this, or perhaps it was oh man, this is really scary?
There hasn't really been a point where this is really scary. I mean, I love it. I really do, and you know, I wouldn't change anything about it. I don't have any regrets. The part that I was most happy was when I was 17, about to turn 18. I was going through recruit school that we had through our station. I mean, it was tough. I sacrificed. You know, I would come up from school and go to the fire department every day to try to get my certifications, and I eventually we had a pinning ceremony, and I got badged and all that stuff. So I mean, that was the moment that I was like, you know, I really want to do this. This is awesome.
You see firemen on TV, you see different movies, you have Chuck and Larry and different things like that. Does it accurately portray what goes on in the station and what it's like to be on the truck?
Station-wise, it portrays that. It's just like here at college. There's always joking around. I mean, it's like growing up with a bunch of big brothers. I mean, that's really what it's like now. Fire-wise, I mean, they're gonna make it a little more dramatic just because it's the movies and stuff like that. But station-wise, like you see it in the movies, we're always laughing, joking around, play basketball, you know, do anything. So,
favorite memory of being a firefighter, either in a fire or at the station? Give me one favorite memory.
Favorite memory. Our station was going through some rough times with you know, transitions and people of authority and stuff like that, and we had just lost an old chief that has been at our station, and we were back at the station after the funeral. You know, everybody was kind of, you know, pretty sad, and we were loading hose back on the truck, and then I don't know who started it, but we just got in this massive water fight, and it was truly awesome. And you know, that lets you know that, you know, even though there's disagreements in the fire department, there's always going to be disagreements in the fire department. Somebody's going to think it should be done this way, somebody's going to think it should be done another. But that really let me that no matter what's going on internally, you know that every single person there has your back, and I trust every single one of them. So.
That's good. Well, thank you for coming on the set.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it, and we're going to keep things rolling. We're going to throw to the community calendar to show you what's going on and off campus.